All right, guys, welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, and we are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome back to part 5 or episode 5 of Anything and Everything. And I do mean everything. Make sure you guys participate in the poll, and we'll get started here in just a few.
Anything and everything. Anything and everything.
He knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed, few people cried, most people were silent.
3, 2, 1.
Anything,
Everything.
anything.
My name is Ted Bundy.
Submitted for your approval. What have we got here?
Oregon 911.
I would like to order a pizza.
You called 911 to order a pizza?
Okay, I will destroy humans.
Anything,
Everything.
anything.
Everything.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
So about 5 minutes after the police got here, see, the girl Amanda told the police, I ain't just the only one. It's some more girls up in that house.
He had a gun and he was poking it in my side, told me to drive. And so I drove.
Shook hands. Trump on South Korean soil. Kim Jong-un in the north.
The well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world known as the Pentaverate.
I think these boys were involved in it. They practiced it. They were considered dabblers in it.
Telling their kids that you can't go outside or a vampire will get you, just to make their kids stay and do what they want to do. God is basically the same way.
The Second Amendment, like all other rights, is not absolute.
Let's watch a sitcom or something.
No!
Anything,
Everything.
anything.
Everything.
It was very difficult for her to lose sight of the fact that she wasn't there bonding with Dylan the way I was. And I think that was a huge problem for her.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a
Anything,
Everything.
anything.
Everything.
Well, then, let's get started, shall we? Welcome in, Miranda. You like that Hunter Biden photo, huh? Good to see you, Copper. GP, Scott, GB. Welcome in. Hiawatha. Good morning to you. Jason, good morning. If you're enjoying your coffee like I am, cheers. The poll question today, Casey Anthony, guilty or not guilty? I'm going to have to say guilty with the side of psychopathy. Sparky, good morning. Yeah, this weekend's been pretty good. Pretty relaxed. Pretty relaxed. Well, we can do whatever we want, but this is what I have lined up for you guys. I think we'll talk a little bit about the Casey Anthony case. I think another great injustice, but in the end, I guess we didn't get to see what the jury was looking at, so maybe there just wasn't enough to convict. Do I think she's guilty? Fuck yeah. Oh yeah. Um, well, I don't think we're going to talk about the Karen Reed case today, unless you guys want to. We can talk about whatever you guys want to. But we're going to hold off on that just because of time. Talk a little bit about the ongoing Hana Kobayashi debauchery. We're going to get into some more alien activity. A lot of strange things going on in Jersey. Start to look more and more like some kind of maybe secret program. Maybe the government's doing some testing with some new technology. Something to do with cameras, tracking, facial recognition, maybe even infrared. Cheers with SF. What's that? San Francisco? French vanilla creamer. Yeah, I brewed me up some Dunkin' Donuts medium roast. Threw some almond milk in there and probably the equivalent of 1 teaspoon of sugar. Sparky says, I've enjoyed my weekend in the beautiful state of Arizona, heading home now. Shout out to Arizona. Yeah, hands down, greatest state in the world. We get the best of everything, really, except the summer. That's our atonement. But like even politically, we're like right in the middle. All it takes is a feather and we could be Democratic or Republican. And that's how it should be, I think. Saint Sarah Boone. No, we're not talking about her. We're done with her. She's out of here. Yeah, we're not talking about the Boone. We're going to talk about Hunter Biden a little bit, about him being pardoned, his laptop, and some cocaine found at the White House. And then we'll kind of create a list of POIs on that one. What else? I did have John Benet Ramsey in here, but we already talked about that on the last episode. So I'm going to remove that just because of time. We'll have about 2 hours, I think. And then we have some random news that we'll start with. A lot of crazy shit. Some of this stuff was shared in the members only Discord. So shout out to you if you guys recognize any of that. I think one was from Brad. He's the creator of Outside of the Grid podcast. Comes highly recommended. What else we got? Oh, we're going to talk about the Doomsday couple. Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow. Momentarily. You guys remember the Hawk Tua girl? Well, apparently she launched a meme and a lot of people got excited about it, invested a lot of money, and then it tanked. But I don't know. I don't know if it can turn around. I don't know a whole lot about that. When it comes to investments, like we have somebody that does all that for us. So don't even ask me. Go ask Richard Allen about the stocks. He might know a little bit more. Anna, welcome in. In my opinion, Casey Anthony must have been responsible for her daughter's death, but I lean toward accidental. I don't know. I mean, what do you consider accidental? Like she fell asleep and she fell in the swimming pool, or she was put in a back seat of her car and duct taped and maybe given like NyQuil or something while she went and partied. There's a whole lot to that story. Remember, she made up a story about her nanny, Zanny the nanny, and then she just acted like, I mean, pretty much cold blooded, no emotion. And then she blamed her dad. You remember that? Blamed her dad, and then he went and took a lie detector test. And then I want to ask you guys about how easy do you think it would be to pass a lie detector test? So let me know in the comments. Do you believe you could pass a lie detector test? The old big toe on a thumbtack. Remember that? Maybe some type of drug you could take. What's up, Mustang? No, SF means San Francisco. Everybody knows that. I would have to say Dunkin' is my favorite out of all the coffees. I mean, the medium is like the Starbucks dark roast. And permanently stored in a basement or something. Dark. You guys are dark. I think Casey Anthony chloroformed her daughter, maybe an accident. Yeah, see, that's not an accident, though. If you chloroform a child, like, that's murder. You're like, oops, this time she didn't wake back up after I chloroformed her. It was an accident. Normally she wakes up. Yeah, so if you chloroform a child, like, that's not an accident. Blind squirrel in the building. What's up? Another cold, rainy, unmotivated morning and a great Pyrenees that can't bring me my coffee without spilling it all over the place. Well, cheers to all you guys. Lilith. Not the white stuff. Not sure how many times I can use that word on a live stream. Sparky, that was Joe's. He runs circles around everybody in the White House. That's why he fell off the bike that one day. They were trying to chase him, and then he just fell. I was running. That's a good one, Lilith. She got to talk to an attorney now. Clever. Clever girl. Had over 15 minutes of fame. Nah, she's still going strong. I think she just made like 55 million or something like that overnight. I think she dropped a meme coin called Hawk coin, spelled HAWK. Good to see you, Lisa. True Crime Mama. Hey, you got it. Hang in there. What's up, War? Big Fish, what up? How's it going, Mustang? I agree, not an accident. Like, in a way, it's an accident, but as far as the law is concerned, not an accident. Like, for a psychopath, like, oh, well, I didn't mean to kill them. I was just chloroforming them and leaving them in the trunk with duct tape on their mouth. You know, I didn't want them to wake up while I was out partying. Then what? Something bad could happen. Well, how about you don't go party? And if you do, you get a sitter. And if you can't get a sitter, guess what? You don't get to go out. But to a psychopath, that's just, their mind works a little differently. It's a different kind of logic. It's a different filter there. Anna says, my body does not control anything that is measured by a lie detector. I take medication to control my heart rate. All right, let's go into some of this random news this morning. Let's go to our neighbor up in Canada. Those guys are getting crazier by the day. Let's take a look.
Are effective immediately. 324 unique makes and variants of what the government calls assault-style firearms are now prohibited. All newly banned models have semi-automatic action and sustained rapid-fire capability. And government officials confirmed Thursday these guns can no longer be legally used or sold in this country.
Our goal is to ensure that no community, no family is devastated by mass shootings in Canada again.
These firearms join the list of more than 50.
Right? We don't want these guns walking around our streets, right? These guns are known for mass killings, right? If you see any of these guns roaming your neighborhoods, call law enforcement right away because they are heartless. They're out of their minds. They're mad. All they want to do is mass kill. So if you ever see a gun very similar to what you're seeing on the screen now, walking around your neighborhood, beware.
1,500 types of firearms Prime Minister Justin Trudeau banned the sale and use of in 2020 in the aftermath of the Nova Scotia mass shooting. As was the case 4 years ago, the government is offering owners and retailers of these newly outlawed guns amnesty until October 2025, while officials finalize a national buyback program. The move is being heralded by the gun control group founded by survivors of the 1989 Montreal massacre.
It's an important step forward, and I really believe that what remains to be done will be done.
The Liberals had been facing pressure to ban additional firearms that came on the market after 2020 and that weren't covered in the Liberals' major gun control bill passed a year ago. Today's move went over less well, though, with gun rights groups.
This is not a crime measure at all. This is strictly trying to appease voters in urban Canada.
It remains to be seen exactly how many firearms will be turned over in time. But once they are, the government says they have a plan to get them out of the country and potentially onto the front lines of the Russia-Ukraine war.
We've been working very closely with our friends in Ukraine to ensure that weapons that were intended to be used in combat could be made available to them.
Beyond the ban, the Liberals are promising to table additional measures in Parliament to address the rates of gun violence in intimate partner situations. But that won't come until next year. Omar, effective
Interesting. All right, let's get your opinions on that last one there. Oh, yeah, we're going to be talking about the CEO assassin, judge killing sheriff. Talk about it all. Anything and everything. Exactly. What's going on, Diamonds? Okay, so the UK has like the strictest gun laws. Let's look a little bit at what they have the highest rate of, which I believe is knife attacks. Let's see. Knife crime is on the rise in the UK with a number of factors contributing to the issue. Number of offenses. In 2023, there was 49,489 knife-related offenses in England and Wales, which is up from 46,153 in 2022. This is still 3% lower than the pre-pandemic peak of 51,206 in 2019. Also, regional disparities. The rate of knife-related offenses varies across the country, with the West Midlands and the Metropolitan Police area having the highest rates. Homicides in 22 and 23. 41% of all homicides in England and Wales were knife-related. So guess what? When you get rid of the guns, guess what happens? The killers find a new tool. That's the moral of the story. So then you ban knives. And then eventually, guess what? We're going to be reading statistics about bat, stick, and hammer murders. Okay. When you ban all of that, you're going to start hearing things about people being hit with vehicles, stuff like the Boston bombings. Guns are just a tool. There's somebody that has to be operating them. So what is motivating that person? Who is the killer? It's not the gun. The guns aren't walking around tempting people, hey, let's go on a mass shooting today. No, somebody's picking this item up and using it as a tool. So what's motivating these people? Because if you ban all guns like the UK did, they're going to find a new tool. All right, let's briefly look into the Kentucky judge that was murdered by friend and the sheriff. This case is getting stranger by the day
United
as well.
Healthcare CEO was gunned down on the streets of New York. The shooting that took our breath away was the killing of Judge Kevin Mullins right there in his own chambers. We know who fired those shots. It was on video right there. That was Sean Mickey Steins right there with the gun. He was the sheriff at that time of their rural Kentucky.
I mean, how crazy is this situation right here? The day before, these folks were just going about their business. Corruption.
Kentucky County. And he was also a close friend of the judge. And he's not a sheriff anymore. He's an inmate.
And just remember, guys, just because there's corruption like this going on here in this small town doesn't mean every small town, doesn't mean this is going on in every town.
Waiting for trial. But just like the CEO murder, the motive in the Judge Mullins case is
fight
a
for
mystery,
justice.
which means that the two men's long shared history has been under the microscope. And tonight, a gut punch of
thrown
an
away,
exclusive
War.
to tell you about. It turns out there are recordings about the dead judge that tie him to some very dirty business in that county. A sex for favors scandal that sent a former deputy to jail and got the sheriff, who's now facing murder, sued in federal court. News Nation.
How sick is that? So that judge right here is being accused. Certain people that needed to be bonded out or couldn't afford to pay for an ankle monitor he would say, well, if you can't afford it, you can always pay in sex. And then it would take place in his chambers. Disgusting.
Investigative producer Allison Weiner uncovered these recordings, and she joins me live now. You're such a great producer. I mean, we send you out to dig this stuff up, and then I have to have you on television to report it. What kind of a reporting are we talking about, Allison?
Well, these are recordings from the criminal investigation into Deputy Fields, the guy that went to prison for the sex for favor scandal. And Deputy Fields was convicted of rape 3, of sodomy, and also of perjury. So the recordings are from his victim. And she subsequently has filed the civil rights lawsuit in federal court. The victim is Sabrina Atkins, and she was...
V, are you referring to the CEO assassin? There's people who are kind of spreading rumors that they know his name, but every report as of like an hour ago says that they still don't have his name. So I'm getting mixed reports.
Interviewed by police about what had happened to her when she was an inmate in Fletcher County in Whitesburg. And that's where Sheriff Stein was working, and also where Ben Fields was working. And
all right, there you have it. Anna says a few years back, England was considering banning large knives, which would have included kitchen knives, right? So if you see a large knife walking around the neighborhood, be careful, you know, because all of a sudden there's a uptick in mass stabbings.
And these recordings, I was listening to them and I just sort of stopped and was like, I'm beginning to see that Sheriff Stein's life was coming apart, like sort of one thing, one block at a time. And this was not a good thing that I was listening to. And let's take a listen to it and then we can talk about it.
But he does have some videotapes of some stuff in the judge's chambers.
What kind of stuff?
Just with girls sexual and stuff.
What describe? Have you seen the video?
I've seen one partly, just him having sex with girls for the people to get out of jail.
Who was having sex?
What's up, Wanda?
And just some higher ups up there.
Who?
The judge and.
You saw the video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did you see on the video? I mean,
I've seen Judge Mullins having sex with a girl.
Who was the girl?
I don't know. Because I don't know a lot of people from over.
Where was it at?
In his office, in the judge's chambers.
Is that the same place that you were meeting Ben? Is that how you know it was the judge's chambers? And this was Judge who?
Mullins.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Allison, wow, that's pretty clear. That's
like, imagine you walk in, you're facing serious charges, and the guy that's up there, the honorable, right, in quote unquote honorable judge, like, Judge, you got something all over your face there. Like, why are you so sweaty? Yeah.
That's her saying Judge Mullins was having sex with these people in his chambers, just like the other deputy. Here's the question I have, because it seemed to me that it became an open secret among female inmates that you can sleep your way out of jail because these men and these higher ups, not the ones necessarily on the screen, this is an allegation only, will have sex for these release favors.
That's correct. And by the way, the Sheriff Stein denied during his deposition, which was a couple of days before the murder, that he had he had any idea that any of this was going on. But the fact is that the plaintiff in the lawsuit, again, Sabrina Atkins, said that she had heard rumors and that you could exchange sex for not having to wear your ankle bracelet. She didn't say that specifically, but for some favors. And that's exactly what ended up happening, because she couldn't afford to pay for the ankle bracelet. You have to pay for the ankle bracelet weekly. And those are the allegations in the civil lawsuit, that Sheriff Stein should have known or knew about what was happening with Ben Fields. And Sheriff Stein is the big name in that lawsuit. It's Sheriff Stein and unknown superiors and Ben Fields. So he was facing some heavy damages and the loss of his entire career based on this civil rights.
And it could have to do with something that these folks in law enforcement and the investigation have no clue about, right? I mean, if they're doing corrupt shit like this, who knows what else they're doing?
Lawsuit. And frankly, the plaintiff's lawyers told me, Ned Pillersdorf has told me several times, because it's like they
Yeah,
were
that's
running
my
a brothel
question.
out of that court.
When we first heard this, V, we heard that the judge was contacting the sheriff's daughter, and that was the motivation. But now it seems like maybe the judge was trying to hit on the daughter, or not exactly sure if he was trying to communicate with her as a sexual interest, but he may have taken that risk knowing what he knows about the sheriff. Like, I can do what I want because your father, the sheriff, I have a lot of dirt on him. Like, he's not a good person. So I can hit on you if I want. What's he going to do about it?
Courtroom.
Unbelievable. Well, I feel like it's just the tip of the iceberg because there's still a lot more to connect Stein's allegedly murdering the judge based on what the judge maybe would have said to bring Stein's more into this picture. So you're invited back, anytime. Just
V. Marie says, this can of worms is open. Might be a shocking trial. Yeah. I don't know. Might be surprised if more people pass away. Miranda Lee, they're keeping that really quiet. However, the sheriff's daughter is involved. Somehow she's involved. She may have just been a trigger. Maybe he threatened the daughter. I don't know. This is going to be an interesting trial. You're right about that. You're right about that, V. There's something else here. There's a part of this that we don't know about. Hiawatha says, at first they were saying that Stein called his daughter from his phone and she didn't answer. Then called her from the judge's phone and she answered. I don't know, but that's what they were reporting. I remember that. That's what the kind of the narrative was early on. That he was upset about some kind of a secret relationship or something like an inappropriate relationship, and he snapped. But that's not it. Something else is going on with that case. And we're going to keep a close eye on that. And we're not going to get desensitized to these cases, guys. I'm going to be just as shocked tomorrow as I am right now. We're not going to adapt to all this crazy shit. We're going to change it. Well, at least that is the dream, right? Miranda says, if this turns out to be a vigilante killing because the judge was doing something to the sheriff's daughter, I can see a jury only convicting him of manslaughter or finding him not guilty. I don't know. I think the sheriff may be just as dirty as the judge. And if he's going down, then the judge is going down times 10. And this might have all been kind of started from some kind of a trigger, maybe blackmail, maybe somebody wanting to stop with what they've been doing. Shit, if they're having sex in the judge's chamber, imagine what else they're doing. Taking bribes. If you show me one thriving, how these gangs will move into a small town and set up shop, Kind of like what's the name of that song? Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh, that's how Rough Riders roll. That's what they do. But if you show me one successful drug gang, I'll show you a handful of corrupt officials who are enabling it and allowing it. Little DMX for you. Yeah, we used to have here in Arizona and all the small towns, you'd have these biker gangs. They would kind of roll in, purchase like a trailer, and just start cooking meth. Next thing you know, the whole town is methed out. It's fucked up. Yeah, the CIA and the FBI for most of the part. At least the higher ups. It's kind of like a secret society. You get all these ambitious recruits, and then you kind of weed out the wicked ones, you know, and you elevate them. Here's another interesting thing that I caught. It was I don't know if you guys ever watched The View. So you have Whoopi Goldberg and Charlemagne the God. He's a radio personality and a Democrat. Being honest. Check this out.
This is something that's going around right now. A lot of this conversation about President Biden getting criticized from both sides of the aisle for pardoning his son Hunter after repeatedly saying he would never do it. And a lot of people are saying that it's hypocritical, et cetera, as if the other side doesn't do it. But what's your reaction to it?
I mean, I think all of the criticism is valid because, you know, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time. And, you know, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, you know, whether or not.
Yeah, let me put this in context. So remember, the last 3.5 years, you had Joe Biden and the White House saying that they would never, ever pardon Hunter Biden. Nope. He was convicted by a jury. And the only reason they were saying that, this is how fucked up politics are and politicians are. They were only saying that because they wanted Donald Trump to be convicted, right? And they didn't want him pardoning anybody. But it's very hypocritical. And Charlemagne is saying, I can still be a Democrat and tell the truth. And that's the problem. That's not what's happening. People on that side, in my opinion, they're not honest.
You know, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now. But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy and they were saying that, you know, nobody's above the law, but they were speaking about him, that's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, oh, you know, nobody's above the law, I respect, you know, the jury's decision in regards to my son. He didn't believe that, but he didn't have to volunteer that lie to begin with.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
Uh-oh. Look at Whoopi. Triggered as always.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed
You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a
No,
sudden?
I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over.
Oh my God. She's always got to put the spin on it. You know, let's put the spin on it.
And this is just my feeling, because at some point you get to the place where you just go,
how dare you talk about the cult? How dare you talk about Rome, the greatness of Rome?
so I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's
Never.
expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that
You're
go out.
mis-
They're
don't-
the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground.
Listen,
they don't have to do that.
I'm a Democrat. Tell me what the moral high ground is.
The moral high ground is nobody's above the law. I respect what the jurors.
Yeah, one thing you need to learn about Democrats, and this isn't all, most, not all. And this isn't like an attack on you if you're a Democrat. This is, of course, just everything's just my opinion. Is that all they do is project. right? They talked about Donald Trump starting World War III, and here you have Biden basically initiating what's the conflict with Russia and Ukraine. You have what's going on with Israel, basically annihilating, right in front of the modern world, an entire population of people. And we're just so confused about who do we trust and who do we believe. But it is good to see him being honest here, guys. I appreciate that because he is a Democrat. He's not doing it because he's part of a cult. He truly thinks that they align with his beliefs, and a lot of them do with me as well.
Just saying, he didn't. You don't have to do that.
We're mad at him because he changed his.
Oh no! By the way, I'm not mad at him pardoning
But
Hunter
you
Biden.
sound like you're
no.
If I can get in on this, I actually think it went further, and this is one thing we really disagree on. Joe Biden.
Let me ask you something.
Whoopi Goldberg's like, I guess I missed it there. Yeah, you always do, Whoopi. That's your problem. You're triggered. Anna says the drama of party politics keeps the people focused on personalities, their teams, tribalism, so to speak, while this goes on. Actual issues are never discussed. And people are actually have more in common than they think. You know what I mean? If anything, we're really only separated by very few issues. And these issues are very big, they're huge topics. They do need to be discussed. But we have more in common than we don't. Than not. Welcome in, Laura. Yeah, it is kind of like looking at lab rats, like what the fuck? It's like a human experiment of a bunch of triggered liberals. Not all, not all, not all. Right field. All right, I guess that's a good segue into old Hunter.
Family arriving in Nantucket last night, where they're going to be spending their Thanksgiving and staying at the ritzy $34 million compound. Taking part in that first.
Okay, here's a side question. So Joe Biden's been in politics. He's been a politician, a lifelong politician. How does he have multiple properties that are over $20 million? Is anybody ever going to ask that question? Or are we just going to ignore it?
That trip. First son, Hunter Biden, whose name is back in the news thanks to former CBS News reporter Catherine Herridge.
That's right. The journalist is now blowing the whistle on her former employer. She's detailing how top brass at CBS threw up several roadblocks as she began investigating Hunter Biden's laptop ahead of the 2020 presidential election. Herridge now says when the story was finally ready for air, CBS delayed its debut. Watch.
When we did the story, we did it after the midterms. I argued against that because it was ready.
That's a good comment. Let's go to Anna. Anna says, I am socially liberal, financially conservative, basically a libertarian with the old meaning. Yep. The original liberal. That's been stolen. Maximum personal freedom, small government, low taxes. Interesting.
Before the midterms. And my training is that you should always do the story when it's ready to go. You should not be dictated by the political cycle.
She goes on to claim that the story was complex and lent itself to several other angles. But according to the journalist, CBS continued to get in the way of the truth coming out. And for more on this, we're going to bring in Newsline, the host of Newsline and author of the book Incoming, Bianca De La Garza. Also here, journalist and New York Times bestselling author Chadwick Moore. Good to see you both here on the day before Thanksgiving. Absolutely. Bianca, let's start with you. I'm not surprised to hear this kind of behavior happening at one of the big networks, one of the big liberal networks. What say you?
No, and obviously we know so much more than we did then about the
Do you guys remember? This is how I knew that I was no longer a Democrat was when I heard somebody that I thought would never ever become president, which was in 2016. Donald Trump was running for president and he was making these promises. And I was like, man, this sounds really great. There's no way that they're ever going to make this man president. You know, these are all the things that align with my beliefs. I was like, fucking Donald Trump. Like, who would ever thought like he would become this person? And they kept saying, oh, well, those are just campaign promises. I didn't understand what that meant. Right? They kept saying, oh, he's making campaign promises. Also, what is that? So I looked into that and come to find out that before Donald Trump, these people who were running for president would just make these promises that nobody ever expected them to keep. And I thought that was despicable. So now we have this man stepping in here who's actually attempting to fulfill these promises. And you have this group, this party that I was aligned with previously saying, oh, well, he's just making campaign promises. Like we have like we already have our agenda. The voters, they're not going to change any of that. We're doing what we're doing so that we can trick these voters, giving us power. And then we're just going to continue on with our plans and our goals that we have. He's making campaign promises. I thought that was disgusting.
Laptop, but we also know CBS continues to behave in this way that is incredibly disturbing, whether it be now with Kamala Harris and the re-editing of her answer. Catherine Herridge is obviously an incredible journalist. There's no question about that. The question is, how is this allowed to happen and what type of pressure, where was this coming from? If she's saying that it was a top down, they were telling her to investigate this. Was it the campaign? I think we'll know a lot more, but I think what we know right now is that big legacy media is not holding standards that we need to have. We need to push to have these standards, and we need to have real truth and transparency. And I love the idea that there might be fresh faces in that White House press briefing room.
Yeah, excellent point. Chadwick, do you think the proverbial death knell has officially sounded for legacy media? It seems, especially during this past election cycle, it came out very clearly that they were not doing their jobs, which is to report the news and be unbiased.
Well, yeah, and the networks have certainly been put on notice, the networks being CBS, NBC, and ABC News, by the incoming FCC chief Brendan Carr, who's very explicitly laid out the fact that, hey, you don't have a right to the airwaves in America. It's a privilege granted to you by the Communications Act, given to you by the American people, for you to act in the public interest. So if the obvious turns out to be true, that they're giving in-kind contributions to Democrats, they do reporting that favors Democrats and hurts Republicans. During debates, that they skew questions and the format to help Democrats and Republicans, they're acting as political operatives, not as journalists, and they're not acting in the interest of the American people, which is the only reason why they're granted access to our airwaves. So the FCC coming in, the American people are hungry for accountability. They want to know what's been going on with all the corruption, not only in our government, but especially in our media. And it looks like the new Trump team may provide us with some answers and put these people on notice.
Chadwick, you just said have the networks act in the best interest of the American people. I think what happened, it became so liberal in these newsrooms, they don't even know where the center is, let alone fair and balanced. And they're acting in interest, to your point, for the Democrat Party. And Bianca, I truly believe that's where it's skewed to. Believe everything Democrats say, believe nothing that Republicans say.
You know, it's really sad because I've been doing this for almost 30 years. And in my book, Incoming, I start with the first chapter, which is about being inside the Legacy Media Lion's Den. And that was, you know, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's an elite club. No longer can they actually do their job because they have become part of this establishment. And that's why this incoming administration is, frankly, the most welcome we've seen perhaps ever in our modern history, because not only are they talking about rooting out corruption, things that Chadwick just alluded to, but also for once, Americans will finally have what they deserve, which is a free and fair press and not state-run media. You know, I got into this for a love of, you know, finding out the truth, to be the voice for the voiceless. When you have people holding the microphones and people that want to ask the questions and be the conduit, and they are pushing a narrative and disinformation, we've fallen so far. I mean, that's how the society collapses. When you actually control the message, you control the people, you control their vote, you control their mind, so on and so on. And it was a very dangerous path. We've now got a new administration. It can be saved.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that attracted me to vote Republican or conservative for the first time, which was for Donald Trump in 2016, I think I was sick of the political correctness and the broken promises by the Obama administration, right? Everybody voted for the first black president. I remember crying at the inauguration. I was so proud of us as a country. And he let the entire black population down. He didn't fulfill any of his promises. It was just like voting for Biden. There was no difference there. That was a big letdown. That changed my politics, I think, forever. How fake it was and how our emotions are exploited that way. I felt really let down.
A live look right now at the White House, where there's a growing mystery tonight.
That's right. How did a bag of cocaine end up in the lobby of the West Wing? Ashley Rodriguez joins us now with what the White House has to say about the discovery. Ashley.
All right, so the White House is making it very, very clear the president and first lady were not at the White House this weekend. The drug was found in the West Wing, and now it's the responsibility of the Secret Service to get to the bottom of how it got there.
It's a first for this country. Cocaine in a small zip bag discovered in a cubbyhole in the West Wing during a Secret Service sweep on Sunday.
So, as you know, this is under the purview of the Secret Service. They are currently investigating what happened over the weekend.
The president and first lady were at Camp David when the narcotic was found in the entryway of the West Wing, where visitors put their belongings and leave their cell phones before going on tours. And there were tours Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Let's go to this comment real quick by Anna. Says, I didn't vote for Obama, but I wanted him to succeed. His politics were foreign, anti-imperialism, anti-colonialism from Africa and Middle East. See, I didn't even look at any of his policies. I was voting for the first black president. And that was my mistake. My emotions were being exploited. You know, this delusion of hope through that party is what I was voting for. The first black president. I thought that's what was going to happen with Kamala Harris. But I'm glad that the people didn't make that mistake twice.
It's unclear if it was a member of the public or someone else.
If it was cocaine and it was brought in by a staffer, member of the press corps, they need to be out.
And while some on social media, including former President Trump, are pointing a finger at recovering drug addict Hunter Biden, others, including the White House press corps, are pointing to a much bigger issue.
Welcome in.
What if the white substance just feet from the Oval Office had not been cocaine? What if it had been anthrax and a threat to national security?
I wonder if the cocaine episode has prompted the White House to ask the Secret Service to review its security protocol for visitors coming in.
So let them do their investigation. Again, this is under their purview. Let's see exactly what occurred and what happened.
Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton sending a letter to the Secret Service demanding they deliver their findings by 5 p.m. on Friday, July 14th, writing, "The American people deserve to know whether illicit drugs were found in an area where confidential and..."
Yeah, we still don't know who the owner of that bag was. But we'll go ahead and we'll talk about our list of POIs.
Information is exchanged. The president avoiding the subject, ignoring a reporter's question while he was meeting in the Oval Office with the Swedish
He's like,
Prime
what?
Minister.
What'd you say? Cocaine? Huh? What?
Now, obviously, there are cameras everywhere, but the White House press secretary said where it was found is a highly traveled area. And sources close to the investigation told Politico
What's up, Darkside?
the source of the drug is unlikely to be determined.
Right. It's just sad. We all know that we'll never know who it belonged to. Even though it's the most secure facility in the world, we still don't know who it was. Now, I know that Hunter wasn't there that day, but it's just a little strange that he was hanging around the White House, I think the day before even. Let's take a look at this video from 2023, July 4th, from the Truman balcony. Here, let's start it over. Tell me this dude's not high out of his mind. This dude is twacked. If you ask me who it belongs to, I'm pretty sure it's him. I think maybe somebody from Secret Service might have thrown it in there like, oh, we're going to start a scandal today. Tell them what's really going on. He's like, that's how high I am. You want to know how high I am right now? Hey, you want to know how high I am? See that star? I'm past that star. Wow. But I lost my stash. Jill's like, oh my God, this guy. This fucking kid. It's going to be the death of us. Yeah, they know who it was. And if it was some like random visitor, they would have arrested them or at least made it public. Like, hey, we don't need any rumors flying around. Like it was, we had somebody come in, a pedestrian was taking a tour and they left it here. They panicked and they threw it in one of these cubbies. Oh yeah, he's very wired. Joe's like, you fucking crackhead. If you weren't my son, you son of a... What a weird scene. Weird. That's all I got to say about that. The capital W. Mustang. Biden reminds me of that crazy preacher from the Poltergeist. Caroline. Come to the light, Caroline. You moved the houses, but you didn't move the bodies. Pretty scary movie. Anna says, when leaders, entertainers, and other successful people need medication to continue, it's okay if a single mom working 3 jobs to support her kids self-medicates. She's a dirty drug addict. Oh, yeah. Yep. Kind of ironic. They're here. This house is clean. Yeah, you moved the headstones, but you left the bodies. God, what a great scene. Who was that, Coach? You guys remember that show, Coach? Showing my age just a little bit on that one. Yeah, especially as you get older, Anna. Nothing wrong with that. Whatever you need to do. Within the law, of course. Jeanette, how you doing? I saw a clip on the news yesterday where Biden was getting on his plane and an African-American man put his hand out to shake hands with Biden and he just ignored him. He is such an ass. Mustang says, yep, Coach. What a great show. Yeah, my favorite is the third one. The garage. The garage. All those mirrors in that creepy building. Like, oh man. Yeah, that one got me a little bit. All right. Enough with the politics. Let's get into. Let's see. What do I have here? Oh, no, I have one more. I accidentally skipped this report. This was shared by Brad earlier today. Let's take a look at this. This is just some kind of random news story that was pretty disturbing. And it actually reminded me of the true crime YouTube community.
After police say a man became obsessed with his co-player and ended up stalking her and trying to kill her. Here's ABC's Andrea Fujii.
This morning, a warning for online gamers after police say two men traveled from Canada to California to find and attack a fellow female gamer.
Sounds like a couple crazy Canadians that are in the true crime community.
We know that gaming, online gaming, is a big thing nowadays, and you just have to be cautious.
Law enforcement says Canadian Devin Vanderhoff and a Monterey County woman knew each other from online gaming after playing together for years. They say last week, Vanderhoff and his friend, Darius White, took a flight and traveled to her home.
It led to what we are calling an obsession, to where the point that Mr. Vanderhoff ended up flying from Canada down to Salinas, California, began following our victim and getting to know her pattern of life.
Authorities say the two men posed as delivery drivers holding a package. They say when the woman's boyfriend answered the door, Vanderhoff stabbed him. When the woman...
See, this ruse wouldn't work on me because I don't answer my door. If I don't know you're coming, you shouldn't be at my home.
Jumped in to help, she was stabbed as well. Both the boyfriend and Vanderhoff were taken to the hospital. Vanderhoff's friend got away, but was arrested at the airport.
Guys coming from Vancouver to Salinas to pose as an Amazon delivery person and stab somebody. I mean, it's extraordinary.
Law enforcement says this all could have been a lot worse because inside that package were handcuffs, duct tape, and knives. They say it's a cautionary tale for online gamers.
Don't divulge personal information to people because you just don't know who is on that other end.
Yeah, but here in the United States, like all information is public. You know what I mean? It's like you can't even communicate with anybody because they're so fucking crazy and out of their mind. I mean, look at some of these people who have been following the Delphi case. Like they're so obsessed and they're so dug into this narrative and this hatred that they can't even open their eyes to anything. Like they're really, I believe, willing to take it real world. You got a handful of nuts, guys. Be careful.
Both men are charged with attempted murder. Authorities say the woman is okay. The boyfriend is recovering.
So I don't know. I think the boyfriend might have roughed him up. So shout out to that guy.
Twists and turns in the story of a missing.
Mustang says, I'm the same sleuth. If you don't tell me you're coming, I won't open the door. Nope, I don't answer my phone. I don't do any of that. Solar panel people knock here all the time. Pisses me off. The salesman. Yeah, that's fucking scary. Just shows you how crazy people are. Basic kill kit. Available at Walmart. Duct tape, zip ties, knives. That's all you need. Sometimes they have like mace or like a stun gun. Maybe chloroform. That's more of like an old school thing. You got to get too close for that. All right. Here's a quick update on the whole Hannah Kobayashi
Twists and
situation.
turns in the story of a missing Maui woman reported missing here in L.A., now believed to be in Mexico. Tonight, there are reports of a secret marriage that could be a scam. Fox 11's Laura Diaz spoke to the man helping get answers to all of this. Laura's live with information on a case that's captivated the world. This is quite the development, Laura.
Yes, it is, Christine. You'll recall, of course, that Hannah was supposed to change planes at LAX after flying in from Hawaii. After an exhaustive search, the LAPD traced her to Mexico. And now we talk to a new expert who says he knows more about her circumstances and her whereabouts.
This was being pitched as a abduction. We were told that there was this African American male that we were told they had confirmed, she was being drugged, and it's just none of that was true.
That's Steve Fisher, a prominent private investigator who specializes in missing persons. He's been appearing on national television in the last couple of days. Why? He's shocked by many of the statements the family of Hannah Kobayashi has been making. Early on, Fisher volunteered as assistance in the searches in L.A. before the family asked him to back off. The LAPD says her case is now considered a voluntary missing person case after she was seen crossing the border to Mexico. Fisher says Hannah was involved in a scheme where she was paid to marry an Argentinian citizen to get a green card. He says she never got the money.
I learned that she had actually married a guy from Argentina in a marriage for money arrangement, and her ex-boyfriend, who was on that flight, was also in one of these marriages. I believe something did go wrong. I believe she probably didn't get her what she thought was her fair share of the money.
And in a dramatic turn, Fisher says he knows where Hannah is.
I know where she's at, or she was, at least, as of 24 hours ago. It's not that hard. Call off this public search. People are now going into Mexico. Somebody's going to get hurt.
Fisher also has thoughts about Hannah's dad, who was part of the search party and tragically took his own life not far from LAX a couple of weeks ago.
But then we find out days later he takes his life. Whether those are intertwined, whether it's he found out about this marriage thing and felt a sense of shame, or whether there's some deep, dark secret is very...
Yeah, I wonder what happened to the father, Ryan. That's the biggest mystery at this point. I have a feeling that he may have been kind of going through his own issues, but may have found out. I mean, I don't know. Does she feel like she's going to go to jail for this? Is she running from law enforcement? Did she try to make it seem like, hey, I'm going to New York, but really I'm going to escape to Mexico? Like, what the hell is going on with this? I did find these photos online. I don't know if you guys have seen these yet. So apparently this guy's from Argentina. She married him, and then her boyfriend married probably his girlfriend. I'm not sure. In some kind of immigration scam. Dark Side, yeah, still looking for your daughter. Don't seem like he would. Yeah, he must have. I think maybe he found her. He was there for what, like 15 days. I'm sure he found her, and she was like, well, told him off, like, I'm running away. I don't need you. Like, I didn't call you guys out here to look for me. I didn't report myself missing. I'm just out here doing my thing. I can't control it if the world's looking for me. That's the last thing I wanted. I'm on the run. Everything else could be a big lie. Never know what motivates people, you know what I mean? It could be, there's reasons why people stage the crime scenes. It's to trick the investigators. Throw them off, send them down rabbit holes, and send them in the wrong direction. But I think it's safe to close the case on Hannah Kobayashi. What do you guys think? Dark Side says agree. Has to be something like that. That's what I'm thinking. Could have been just overwhelming for him. For all we know, he lost his job and he sacrificed everything. And it says Kobayashi sounds so Japanese. It is. That's a Japanese word. I wonder if there was an Asian cultural thing with the father's demise. I'm not really following this case. Not sure. I mean, I just feel like it kind of tore him apart. One moment you think that your daughter is missing, abducted, could be possibly murdered. So you quit your job, you spend all your life savings, whatever you have left in the bank, hiring private investigators, tipping people, paying for hotels. Then you find your daughter. Somebody gives you a tip like, hey, I know where she's at. They relay a message like, hey, your father's looking for you. He wants to meet you. They meet up. He's like, well, so you just left and abandoned us without any word, and I made all these sacrifices for you. Now I'm just stranded here. Like, what am I doing? I'm in LA searching for somebody that doesn't want to be found. Maybe it was just too much, Yeah, that does sound nice, Blind. With a big gate and a moat. Shane, what's up? Arranged marriages are massive here in the late 80s and 90s. All you needed was a passport, and you'd go to England, marry an African woman. I know a guy that's married over 10 years. Yeah, that happens a lot in the U.S. If you marry somebody, a U.S. citizen, you get your green card. CJK, good to see you. Yeah, that's why she couldn't go to the police. So they're looking for her. And maybe that's why she changed her mind. She's like, oh shit, everybody's looking for me. I can't go to New York because as soon as I land, they're going to bust me. I need to leave the airport. So this whole time we think that she's being kidnapped, but she's paranoid that we all know about the immigration scam. So if there's any updates on that, we'll talk about it. Yeah, she's on vacation and he's losing his hair and his mind. We're doing pretty good on time, though. Do you guys remember this person?
That makes a man go crazy every time.
You gotta give him that hawk to it.
She became famous for that purpose right there. So let's read this article here. It's pretty interesting. Here, I'll leave her image up over there. Okay, her name is Haley Welch. I can't remember where I found this article, but it's by Thomas Barabi. And this was put out December 5th, titled Hawk to a Girl, Haley Welch launches meme coin, which almost immediately crashes. So Haley Welch, a social media influence, better known as Hawk to a Girl, launched her own cryptocurrency, which briefly surged in value only to crash in a matter of hours. Welch, who was 22, skyrocketed to overnight fame earlier this year after an off color comment that she made during an X rated interview in Nashville went viral on social media. She capitalized on her viral moment by launching a merchandise line and a podcast. Yeah, I think she's under Jake Paul. I could be wrong about that. The Hawk crypto meme coin hit a 490 million market cap shortly after its launch late Wednesday. Cointelegraph reported citing data from Dex Screener. Within 3 hours, the coin had plunged 91% and carried a valuation of just 41.7 million. Data from blockchain analysis site Bumble Maps showed that a small number of crypto wallets controlled the vast majority of the available supply of Hawk. That fueled criticism on social media about so-called snipers or investors that buy up vast quantities of new meme tokens at launch. After the launch, Welch said on X that her team had tried to stop snipers as best we could through high fees in the start of the launch, and said her insiders on the crypto project hadn't sold one token of Hawk. In an interview with Fortune, Welch said the meme coin was not just a cash grab. She admitted that she used to view cryptocurrency as just a scam and an easy way for you to lose money, but said she has since changed her mind. Yeah, for her, things have definitely changed. She likes that side of the coin. She likes that side of the Bitcoin. I don't really see it as like a gambling thing, Welch said. I think it's like a fun way to get my fans to interact. Give me all your money. Stephen Coffeezilla Fiendison, a popular crypto YouTuber, was among those who criticized Welch's token launch and warned the public to stay away. Meme coins always benefit A, insiders, B, trading bots. Coffeezilla wrote on X. Don't be exit liquidity. Words to live by. Crazy to see her still going. I mean, she did one drunken interview on the side of the road and she's a millionaire. Fucking bizarre. Interesting. Yeah, you're right. You're about halfway, CJ. You got to spit on that thing. I think it was more of her accent than anything. No, CJ. We're going to get into that right now. I voted guilty too. So if you guys haven't voted, we're going to close down the poll here in just a few. America. There you go. Got to spit on that thing. Ennis's accident, but not drowning. What kind of accident? Because there's an accident and then there's manslaughter. Yeah, I guess that's what makes America great. Go to fame overnight. All right. The poll question was Casey Anthony, guilty or not guilty? Damn. 90% said guilty. 7% said, I'm not sure on that case. 2% said not guilty. 1% said see comment. Okay, let's see. What do I want to play first? I feel like I'm missing a video that I had here. Oh no. Okay, here it is.
In this world that matters to me still is my daughter. But I'm still defending the fact that I didn't hurt her.
14 years after her daughter disappeared, Casey Anthony says she still misses her. In the new docuseries on Peacock titled Casey Anthony, Where the Truth Lies, Anthony shares for the first time on camera her own theory about what happened to her daughter, Kaylee. She says she took a nap with her daughter on that last day and woke up to her father holding Kaylee in his arms.
She's soaking wet. I can see him standing there with her in his arms and hand her to me and telling me that it's my fault.
Anthony says her father took Kaylee after that, and she doesn't know what happened next. 5 months after Kaylee was reported missing, her skeletal remains were found in a wooded area about a half mile from.
I feel like Casey Anthony is like a pure psychopath. She's able to lie on command without having any emotional repercussions whatsoever.
The family's home. She had duct tape over her mouth and was inside a laundry bag and garbage bags. Anthony was charged with first-degree murder, lying to investigators, and other charges.
Testify
At her trial in 2011, Anthony's defense team claimed the little girl drowned in the family's pool, and the accidental drowning spiraled out of control, with Anthony and her dad covering up Kaylee's death.
And I wonder if they came up with this story together to create doubt or if that was her motivation. Because I have a feeling that this is the only reason that she went free is because the jury just didn't know how to convict her. They didn't know what to, how to sentence her. The charges were not appropriate. And I think she just keeps up this act so they can't never recharge her.
She's cold.
But in the new docuseries, Anthony puts the blame squarely on her father, suggesting Kaylee died on his watch.
And I know people are going to question, well, why didn't I
Her father is her third party suspect.
make a phone call? Why didn't I call 911? I have to live with that,
I don't know, CJ.
knowing that I failed to protect my child.
For 31 days, Anthony kept quiet.
During the 31 days, I genuinely believed that Kaylee was still alive.
Like,
My
what is she
father kept
talking
telling
about?
me she was okay.
Like, if you genuinely believe that your child's alive, why aren't you searching for them? Why aren't you worried about them? Like, I just don't believe one word that she says. It's all just one big lie. And she does it with a straight face.
When her mother finally called 911 to report Kaylee missing, Anthony said the girl's nanny had taken her. Turns out that nanny never existed, which Anthony admits in the documentary. In the docuseries, Anthony says she was lying to protect her father, as she'd been taught to do, following what she claimed were years of sexual abuse by him, beginning at age 8.
My father was holding me down and raping me. That happens again and again and again. It was like I was brainwashed. And it wasn't until much later that I started to really realize why.
George.
At her trial,
CJK says she also said her dad SA'd her, which I don't believe. Well, he took a lie detector test and he said he answered those questions. And the person taking the test stated that in their professional opinion, he was telling the truth. Now, remember at the beginning of the live stream, I asked you guys, do you think that you could pass a lie detector test? So we're going to end this poll. And we're going to create a new one. I think you could pass a lie detector test if you knew how to conduct the test. You know what I mean? And you had your own machine and you practiced on it and you used try different techniques and methods to try to beat it. Maybe work on your breathing. So I think if you truly understood the test, I think you could beat it. He's a cop. Hey, Jackie. Welcome on in. Says, I believe George Anthony is still alive. Anna says, another possibility with Casey is that the child's demise was a FU to her mother, who had criticized Casey's competence as a mother. Yeah, she seems like a psychopath. And the thing is, when she was missing, she was out partying, right? And her roommates and people that knew her, I think she was dating a guy, they all said she seemed normal, like nothing happened. These are all signs of a psychopath. People ask, well, wow, how did Richard Allen hide in plain sight? Well, I believe him to be a psychopath. A lot of killers are able to just act as if nothing happened. You know, there are no red signs. Or red flags, sorry.
Her father, George Anthony, denied abusing his daughter or having anything to do with Kaylee's death. Peacock says he turned down an offer to appear on their program. CNN has reached out
Thank
to
you,
him
Alex.
for
Welcome
comment.
in. I
After
appreciate
more
you.
than 100 witnesses at her trial, Casey Anthony was found not guilty of murder, but she was convicted of providing false information to police. She was freed shortly afterward due to the time she'd spent in jail awaiting trial.
Still everything to me.
Anthony says she'll always wonder what really happened to Kaylee.
I don't know if it would be better to know or just keep not knowing. Because I don't know what the truth is. All I know is that it's something happened.
Yeah, I've seen that in movies, Anna. I think the trick with the polygraph is consistency. So the moment that you sit down, whatever vibe you're giving off, you know, it has to be consistent through the whole thing. Because they're going to start with questions like, what's your name? Or is your name Patrick? And then you're going to answer yes. Okay. And then the machine's going to start scribbling on the paper, you know. And then they're going to ask you a few other questions that they already know the answers to. Do you live at such and such, you know, address? You say yes. Okay. They're like, okay, these are our points of reference. Now, did you kill Kaylee Anthony? And if it starts kind of going off the charts, and I guess it can still go off the charts and you're being honest, but it could be affecting your heart rate. So I think there's a lot more that goes into it because his was going all over the place, but they still stated that their professional opinion was he was being honest. Okay, I think I had another video. Oh, here it is.
Let me have you speak to mom, okay? Now she's right here. She's pulling at the phone. Hold on.
I think I just titled it incorrectly.
Hi, sweetie. Hey, Mom. We're not doing well, Case. None of us. Lee's been sick. Dad's blown up at the media. Yeah, I heard. Well, someone just said that Kaylee was dead this morning, that she drowned in the pool. That's the newest story out there. Surprise, surprise. We need to have something to go on. Mom, I don't have anything. I'm sorry. I've been here a month.
It's just strange. I mean, look how miserable the mother is, and Casey just seems fine.
I've been here a month today. Do you understand how I feel?
Me.
Hold on, sweetheart. Settle down, baby. Nobody's letting me speak. You want?
If your daughter was just found deceased, you're not going to be talking about yourself. I don't care who you are unless you're a fucking psychopath.
Me to talk? Then All right,
I'll
listen to
3
you.
seconds to see
Go,
something.
sweetheart.
I'm not in control over any of this because I don't know what the hell's going on.
And most psychos are able to cry if it has something to do with themselves, right? They're able to feel emotions. It's just not empathy.
I don't know what's going on. My entire life has been taken from me. Everything has been taken from me. You don't understand. Everybody wants me to have answers. I don't have any answers because I don't know what's going on. I have no one to talk to except Jose when he comes. It's the only person that I can talk to right now because I can't even say anything to you guys besides telling you that I love you. I want Kaylee. Things like that. And that's not even getting put on the air,
What's up,
which
Frank?
it should be. It's everything else, everything that I'm not saying. Again, that's all I could do was backtrack. I can't backtrack on anything. A month I've been removed from the situation. You guys are not understanding my side on this, and I'm sorry.
The only time she cries is when she's explaining her situation. But when they asked her what happened to her daughter, she's like, I don't know. I don't have any answers for you. If I knew something, I would tell you. And as soon as she started talking about what she was going through, here come the waterworks. Crazy.
Brand new A&E special called Casey Anthony's Parents, the Lie Detector Test.
I want to have a polygraph because it's going to prove one thing. I never did anything to harm my daughter or my granddaughter.
George Anthony puts his credibility and reputation to the test. And for a few moments, it looks bleak.
Did you knowingly conceal Kaylee's whereabouts?
Going crazy.
No. Okay, so you're struggling with that one a little bit. Tell me why.
Me, it's because I
Okay, let me see if we can get a screen grab right here. I want to show you guys something. Okay, so I believe that these ones at the top, these are questions that they asked that he knew the answers to. Now that last one that he answered, it's kind of going haywire. See that? So it doesn't necessarily mean that he's lying, but it definitely something changed in what was going on with his body.
With that one a little bit. Tell me why.
me, it's because I was so close to our house.
Yeah.
That she was found.
While the 72-year-old appears tripped up by questions surrounding any involvement in the concealment of Kaylee Anthony's body and a 6-month window where the child's whereabouts were unknown.
Did I conceal her whereabouts? I did not know where she was at.
Okay, so why are you struggling with that? I'm happy to modify the question if I have to, but I need to know where you're struggling.
I did not know where Kaylee was at.
The outcome of the lie detector test, ultimately revealing he was telling the truth.
Your results are you passed this test, George. In my professional opinion, you were truthful.
No doubt. After one of the most polarizing cases in modern history,
We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
Casey Anthony was acquitted by a jury of her daughter's 2008 death, though she was found guilty of lying to.
So I wonder, as a father, do you think he was willing to take the blame? Like he knew how hard it was going to be, but in order to save his own daughter, she's going to have to say some really nasty things about him and keep up with the charade.
Police Years later, in a documentary for Peacock, which is owned by NBC News' parent company, she broke her silence, blaming it all on her dad.
Well, I was doing what I was told by my father.
Casey says her father abused her, and she suspects Kaylee too, accusing him of murdering the child to cover it up. George Anthony has never been charged with a crime and has vehemently denied his daughter's accusations. But he did address those accusations on the lie detector.
Did you ever have sexual contact with Casey?
No.
Concluding a weight would be lifted with this interview.
I've gotten blamed for something I didn't do.
I understand
it
that.
tears me up inside.
Now, it is unclear where and when this polygraph took place, but the special did disclose it was a neutral location to try to minimize distractions or outside influence. We reached out to Casey Anthony and her parents and have not heard back for comment.
Crazy. Anna says some experts have said it was a mistake to charge first-degree homicide with possible DP. I agree. Puts too much pressure. If you don't have a slam dunk case, I don't think it should ever be a death penalty case because that just puts too much pressure on the jury. The jury wasn't willing to go that far, and manslaughter was not offered. And that's the thing. I think her and her father may have came up with this idea that she would blame him for certain things and he would deny it. He would take a lie detector test, and it would just be like this psyop of confusion, a confusion campaign. You know, his sacrifice to his daughter. She needed a third-party suspect, somebody to kind of leave this doubt. Because for the longest time, I thought maybe he had something to do with it. But I don't know. How do you pass a lie detector test if you're guilty? I guess as an ex-cop, maybe he knows that answer. But I think they're keeping it up, or she's keeping it up, and she doesn't give a shit because she's a psychopath. She doesn't give a shit about her father or anybody for that matter. She's doing what she needs to do to stay out of jail. Because if they recharge her, they could charge her with manslaughter. What's up, Lulu? Yeah, I don't think so. They would need some kind of maybe a confession or a new witness who didn't come forward previously. Yeah, it makes me sick too. Because obviously she's involved in this, guys. She's telling all these lies. She's telling a lie about the nanny. She's telling a lie about her father. She's doing everything but accepting responsibility. Didn't she have a history of drugging Kaylee? Am I getting that wrong?
When you first met Ms. Anthony, can you tell the jury how she appeared, what her demeanor was?
She was, just a regular 22-year-old girl, happy, just seemed like, normal, and just your average 22-year-old.
Okay. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, no.
Were you aware that she had a daughter?
Yes.
Do you know the daughter's name?
Kaylee.
How many times have you met Kaylee?
About 4 times, maybe 3.
When you saw Kaylee, Anthony, where would you see her?
Either in Anthony Lazzaro's room with Casey or in the living room watching TV.
During this time period that you saw Kaylee Anthony at your apartment with the defendant, did they, meaning Ms. Anthony and Kaylee, ever spend the night?
Not together.
I'm sorry, what do you mean not together? Did they or did they not spend the night?
Casey did. Not Kaylee never spent the night at the apartment.
How would you describe this time period while she was living with you, her demeanor?
Seemed normal. Happy, everything was fine. I didn't notice any, nothing caught my eye as far as her personality or mood swings or anything like that.
Now, you had testified a few minutes ago that you had seen Kaylee Anthony approximately 2 to 3 times.
Yes, sir.
When she started living or staying for extended periods of time at your apartment, did you ever see Kaylee?
No, sir.
Did that ever seem odd to you?
It did. I didn't pay too much attention to it. Cam Hannah and I had a conversation about it, I think once or twice, that we hadn't seen Kaylee around in a couple of weeks.
Did you ever ask the defendant where Kaylee was?
Yes, sir, I did.
What did she tell you?
That she was at that time that she was at Disney World with the nanny and that they were going to Cocoa to the beach the following day.
Were you ever told any other places where Kaylee was?
Just typically that she was with the nanny and they were out doing various things. I mean, it was summertime. It didn't really raise a flag to anyone. It seemed like a typical summertime things to do.
While the defendant was living with you, did she ever tell you anything about her parents?
Not much, sir, no.
You say not much. What do you recall her saying?
When her and her mother would have phone conversations, she would leave the apartment to have those conversations because she said from time to time that they would get in arguments on the phone and she didn't want us to have to listen to them argue on the phone.
Mr. Lesnovich, you saw Kaylee how many times?
2 to 3 times approximately.
Okay. Did she appear hungry to you at any time?
No, sir.
Did she look well fed?
Yes, sir.
Well taken care of?
Yes, sir.
Was Casey attentive to her?
Yes, sir.
Looking back at Casey's behavior, there was absolutely no indication to you that Casey gave you that Kaylee was dead.
No, sir.
And there was no signs in any way, shape, or form as far as you and the outside world could see, or as far as you could see, I should say.
No, sir.
The nights that you were at Fusion with the defendant, what can you tell the jury about her overall demeanor?
She was partying and having a good time.
When you say partying, are you talking about drinking?
Drinking, yes, sir.
Was she dancing?
Yes, sir.
Did she ever display any emotion to you that would indicate that she was upset about anything?
No.
Did she appear happy?
Yes.
Did you, in that brief period of time, ever see the defendant and Tony fight?
No.
During this time period that she was basically living with you, did you ever notice the defendant be sad?
No.
Angry?
No.
Depressed?
No.
You mentioned that Casey was a friendly girl.
Yes, she was.
She was nice.
Yes, she was.
She cared about people.
Yes, she did.
She cared about you. Is that a yes?
Yes.
And even though she barely knew you?
Yes.
And you saw her caring for her child?
Yes, I did.
Have you since found out that Kaylee was dead during this time?
Yes, I have.
And you absolutely noticed no change in her behavior?
Not one change.
Let me finish the questions. You saw absolutely no change in her behavior.
What's up, Aquarius?
From the moment, from the time period where she was a loving and caring mother up until the time that Kaylee was deceased and living with you?
Never saw one change in her.
All right, let's close down the poll. So the question was, could you pass a lie detector test? 39% of you said maybe. Very optimistic bunch. 32% said no. 29% said yes. I wasn't expecting those results. Interesting. All right. Well, I had a few other topics I wanted to talk with you about, but because of time, we will finish with the CEO assassin. There's a lot going on, a lot of updates going on. Let's start here.
Manhunt for the suspected killer of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, who was gunned down on a Manhattan sidewalk. NYPD investigators gathering more evidence every day since the killing. And this weekend, searching a pond in Central Park. ABC's Aaron Katursky joins us live with the very latest. Aaron, good morning. We just got new pictures from NYPD also this morning.
And those images are important because it's believed to be the image of the shooter just
Yeah, we sure can,
after the
CJK.
shooting, getting into a taxi.
We
We'll
can
show you
talk about
those in a
anything and
second.
everything.
This is now a nationwide manhunt. The NYPD is fielding hundreds of tips. The suspected shooter has not been identified yet, though he left behind a tantalizing clue. This morning, the hunt for the killer of United Healthcare chief Brian Thompson enters a fifth day.
The net is tightening, and we're going to bring this person to justice.
Overnight, the NYPD releasing these new images of the suspect, showing him getting into a taxi. NYPD dive teams searching the boat pond in Central Park, looking for evidence, including the murder weapon and the bicycle the suspect was seen pedaling. The pond is near the spot where investigators recovered what they say they think is
another
the
signature,
suspect's
CJ.
backpack. They took it directly to the NYPD forensic lab for examination, and sources tell ABC News it
Yes, Lulu. You can email me at sleuthintuition@gmail.com.
contained a jacket and Monopoly money.
It is important to have the backpack because you may be able to pull off some genetic or forensic material, like maybe DNA.
The suspect fled the
Let's go to right field here. Right field says, how about those Monopoly bucks? Yeah, it's definitely a signature, you know. These guys are running a monopoly. Some evil corporation that just lets people die. They don't pay out, and they're greedy, you know. A greedy monopoly. And Brian was just the target, you know. He wasn't the target, but he represented the target. Welcome in, Why Wonder? Yeah, they're still dragging the water, I think, all day today.
shooting seen on foot, then is seen entering Central Park on a bike. He exited the park 8 minutes later and was seen here pedaling on West 85th Street near Columbus Avenue. By 7 a.m., police said the suspect had ditched the bike and hailed a taxi. By 7:30, 45 minutes after the shooting, the suspect was gone. Police say they saw him on video near the bus station by the George Washington Bridge, where they believe he boarded a bus and left the city. The FBI is now joining the search and offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of this man, seen smiling at a hostel on Manhattan's Upper West Side. Police say he entered New York on a bus that originated in Atlanta. They don't know where he boarded, but say he arrived just after 10 p.m. November 24th, 10 days before the shooting. Wherever he went, police say he paid with cash, and except for that one time, made sure a mask covered his face. Investigators have not determined a motive. Police say nothing so far indicates the shooting had anything to do with the personal life of Brian Thompson, a father of two going through a divorce. Investigators are focused on clues that suggest a disgruntled employee or angry client of United Healthcare. The words deny, defend, and depose were written in Sharpie on shell casings found at the scene, echoing this 2010 book about the insurance industry.
Yeah, maybe we're just dealing with like a serial killer and he's taking the Dexter approach. You know, if he can find people that the majority of the population deem like bad people, you know, or acceptable deaths. Like if you notice sycophants and all these people out here are actually celebrating this guy, you know, kind of like with Brian Koberger, you know, they're saying, well, the incels are going crazy because of all the attention this guy's getting. I mean, this is a very interesting case. It's almost like a human experiment.
Industry's failure to pay certain claims. Protesters have targeted United Healthcare at its headquarters in Minnesota, calling out Thompson's $10 million pay package. His death has unleashed frustration with the insurance industry on social media, where the suspect has been venerated.
Brian Thompson may not have personally been the target, but he represented the system.
NYPD officials believe they have made significant progress now closing in on the suspect. Still, though, no official identification has been made.
And Aaron, that point you're making at the end of your piece about the reaction by many people because of what Brian Thompson represented has been fascinating to see, scary at some points. What are we learning about the contents of the backpack?
So the backpack contained a Tommy Hilfiger jacket and Monopoly money, which
Tommy Hilfiger jacket and Monopoly money. Let me pull up the new photos. We got to get out of here in about 5 minutes. I think these were released this morning. There's a lot of discussion about the weapon that was used, and I think people are completely wrong. They're getting it wrong with the gun. I'm almost certain of it. I mean, I of course I can always be wrong. It's always amateur hour around here, but I'm telling you guys, they're getting it wrong with the gun. People are looking at it and they're not understanding it, and they think it's some kind of weird gun. But it's simply just a small gun with a large suppressor on it, which is causing it to misfire. It's really that simple, in my opinion. It's not some kind of special gun. I just don't believe that. Okay, here are the new photos. Kind of looks like Andrea Burkhart right there. Well, at least this part. Anna says, at least the attacker didn't write runes on the shell casings. On the other hand, Odinus could be a good defense if there's a nexus. Yeah. Not quite sure. I mean, it could be a hitman. I mean, there's a divorce going on, and maybe this hitman, he's so good that he meant to look like he wasn't proficient, and he meant to leave these misleading signatures. Shit, for all we know, he's not even from the United States of America. Our borders are wide open. Hey, Fight for Justice. Amazing how many companies and individuals are affected by the UHC. You know, there's part of me that is happy. I'm not happy that a man was killed, but I am happy that attention is on the corruption of these companies and how the American public is taken advantage of while people die, right? We're suffering and it's like our lives are meaningless, but never is that a good reason for people to go out and commit murder. Because then you're just serving the same master. You're paying into that same pot. You're just a contributor of the pain and the suffering amongst people. Anyone else find it off that he had a meeting that early in the morning? I don't know if I think he had a whole like big event planned. So he may have just been getting there early to prepare, maybe. Darkside says definitely not a VP9. I think it's might even just be like a Ruger, maybe even like a small enough to conceal type weapon, a smaller caliber with an improvised barrel. And if you put a lot of weight on that barrel, it could affect, the chambers that are, when you fire a gun, the gun releases gases and it has that explosion, right? That's what triggers the mechanics of the weapon to spit out the shell casing and then enter in a new one from the magazine. We learned a lot about that throughout the Delphi case, learning how extractor marks and tool marks are left on cartridges. Well, if you put a big silencer on a small gun, that's what's going to happen. You're going to fire it. And if you didn't test fire it, it's going to misfire. It's going to jam. Or I was thinking maybe even if you're painting or using, I don't know if he used a Sharpie or if he painted onto the cartridges, that might even be causing them to jam. But it's definitely not some strange gun. And I wish I could play the CCTV footage for you, but I got flagged last time I did it. Yeah, those are just rumors, and I just don't agree with that. I think they're wrong about that. Like I said, I could be wrong, but I mean, I've spent some time looking at the CCTV footage, and you can see the action of the weapon. You can see the shape of the weapon. It looks like a small Ruger to me. Well, there's the Adam's apple. Takes good care of his eyebrows. They look plucked or something. Hiawath says, Sleuth, so you think it was misfiring? Yes, I do. Because that's what happens when you put a large suppressor. Go look it up. This is common knowledge. You put a heavy suppressor on a small firearm, there's a high chance that it will misfire. Well, that didn't work for Brad and Andy. Thanks, Copper. Yeah, if you guys want to go get a Sleuth Crew hoodie, that's where you go. Yep, it looks like it's jamming. It doesn't look like he's twisting anything on the back, or a lot of people are saying it's a bolt action. There's just no way. That's not what I'm seeing there. But yeah, those are the rumors. And I could be wrong, but I'm telling you guys, I feel like I'm 99% sure it's a Ruger type gun with a with a special barrel installed on the gun where you could with threads on it for a suppressor. And the suppressor is just too big for that gun. So maybe he didn't test fire it. It could have to do with what was written on the casings, on the cartridges. I don't know. Maybe he did it in nail polish or something. That might cause the casing to, stay wedged into the barrel instead of ejecting it out. I'm not sure, but it's most likely that large suppressor on such a small firearm that's causing that. Yeah, maybe. Kind of has a Greek look. That's what I was thinking, Aquarian. This is his event. He's got to get there early, make sure everything's running smoothly. And it says, I've wondered if there were twins involved. One didn't mind being caught on CCTV. The other was not clearly filmed, just a thought. I don't know. People seem to be getting caught up on the jacket. They're like, he's not wearing the same jacket in the other photo. Well, you guys do know how jackets work, right? You take them off, they come right off, You could put on probably 10 different jackets on in 1 minute. Does he look like he might not be in good health? I mean, what is this an actual medical mask, or is he just concealing his identity? Yep, there you go. Why Wonder says, God forbid a millionaire gets got, but they won't report about the millions dying because of the United insurance. But who's they? I mean, who's they? Like, what do you mean they? Like, you can put any face to they, and that's what this killer did. You know, it's they, but he represents they, so I got to take him out. Darkseid says, yeah, you can see the gases when he's firing. The VP9, you wouldn't see any coming out. Yeah, because there would be nothing to, no way for them to escape. You know, it's all coming out of the barrel. That's a good point, Darkseid. I think this attack has exploded the can of worms that is the medical insurance racket. That's why people are so, I don't know, I guess torn. But you also have a big part of that hybristophilia. Am I saying that? Hybristophilia going on here, which is typical for certain people, you know? It's just a dark side of our culture. And once they catch him, he'll be made a martyr. He'll be getting love letters. And he probably didn't get any attention prior to this. Just like Koberger. You know, he's just your typical incel. Trouble dating. On Tinder, trying to tickle his dates. And then say, I'm not tickling you. Yeah, you were, motherfucker. Installing cameras, terrorizing people, his classmates. And now everybody wants to date Koberger. Now he's handsome. He's so good looking. He fucking looks like a young Buscemi. Give me that shit. My back hurts. Subsonic 9mm rounds are unpowered and will cause malfunctions. No, a subsonic 9mm, I think, would be a bolt action, right? Are you talking about the actual bullets themselves? Subsonic ammunition. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I misread that. Yeah, it could be. You might be onto something. I misread that. Sorry about that. The alleged attacker sometimes appears to be female. I have wondered if a gender reassignment transition got stalled by the insurance company. I don't know. Is that an Adam's apple or just a really bony neck? Maybe it used to be an Adam's apple? Using some low grain ammo too will add to it. Need a new coffee mug for work. There you go. Yeah, Greek, Arab, maybe. Maybe Latin, maybe Hispanic. Not sure. Maybe Jewish. His hostel roommate said he was eating with his mask on, lowering his mask with each bite. Yeah, he knew what he was doing then. Could be other Middle Eastern or Central Asian, but doesn't look particularly Arab to me. It's hard to tell. Yeah, when you have the clear image of his face, he does not look. I mean, look at that. He has the crazy eyes, though. You guys notice that? He's got the Koberger eyes. Yep, a Tommy Hilfiger jacket and Monopoly money. Monopoly money, definitely, right? Definitely a signature. combined with the writing on the shell casings. Anna says the photo of him smiling was said to have been in response to a woman flirting with him. I didn't hear the word, I never heard the word woman. I just heard the word flirting. Looks like the guy. Darkside says, yeah, he's probably already getting love letters, and we don't even know the man's name, I'm assuming. Disgusting. Laura, tickle, tickle. Excuse me, are you tickling me? No, you're tickling me. Stop tickling me. You just tickled me. Can you please go? I knew I should have swiped left. Yeah, Jeanette, I tipped that in. He does look like that guy. You want me to pull that up? I think I have it here. I don't know if they have the same eyes, but this like part of the nose is very similar. It's like flat and then kind of gets wide right after that. So this part of the nose is very similar, how it kind of leads into the eyebrow right here. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for today's live stream. So we'll catch up on the chat and then we will bounce on out of here. What's up, Big Worm? The first shot hit him in the leg. What the hell was that? A mistake? He was 6 feet away. I don't know. I feel like that might have been torture. Like, let me wing this guy so he can't get away. Yeah, maybe he was just a bad shot. He's got Steve Buscemi eyes. Tried to tickle her to death, apparently. Tickle, tickle. Anna says, so much effort was put into the crime to implicate slimy insurance companies. I have to wonder if all these cartoon level signatures are elaborate staging. Domestic issue is the motive. Yeah, it could be a hitman hired by, the wife. She probably would get a huge settlement from his death. And if you hire a good enough hitman, maybe he's able to stage the crime scene and make it look like what it isn't. Maybe even planting evidence or DNA that doesn't even belong to that person. Also, they could be wearing some kind of synthetic mask, maybe. I don't know if you can smile the way he was, but you know, they have shit like that out now too. Yeah, so it could be a professional who's making it seem that they're not proficient or that they're not a professional. They may be staging the crime scene to make the motivation appear to be something that it's not, or it could be a social justice warrior with an axe to grind. Yeah, bushy eyebrows that are well manicured. Big Worm says, imagine being the investigators in charge of going through denied claims for the past few years looking for suspects. Has to be a long list. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if that's an approach they're taking. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, you guys have a great Sunday. Enjoy your day. I'll see you again tomorrow for sure. Yeah, I heard the first shot was behind the knee and then maybe one to the back. You're welcome, Aquarian. Thank you, guys. Yep, there you go, Hiawatha. So this could be a huge, or it could have to do with the government and the lawsuit and insider trading and all that stuff, you know. And then we'll definitely never know who this guy is. But if this is some disgruntled individual, they'll find him. The other two options, I don't think so. This is like a planned hit, a hired hit for a professional. He's definitely misleading the world. And if this is like some kind of CIA hit or something like that, which does happen nowadays. I know it sounds crazy, right? But I mean, that shit's definitely happening. Then we'll never find out. Yeah, I think in the back of the knee and then in his back. He died about an hour later. Take care, Jackie. Have a good one, Hiawatha. Have a great day. That's going to do it.
Anything and everything. Anything and everything.
He knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed, few people cried, most people were silent.
3, 2, 1. Anything.
Everything.
Anything.
Downhill. My name is Ted Bundy.
Submitted for your approval. What have we got here? Oregon 911.
I would like to order a pizza.
You called 911 to order a pizza?
Okay, I will destroy humans.
Anything.
Everything.
Anything.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
So about 5 minutes after the police got here, see, the girl Amanda told the police, I ain't just the only one. It's some more girls up in that house.
He had a gun and he was poking it in my side, told me to drive. And so I drove.
Shook hands. Trump on South Korean soil. Kim Jong-un in the north.
It's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world known as the Pentaverate.
I think these boys were involved in it. They practiced it. They were considered dabblers in it.
Telling their kids that you can't go outside or a vampire will get you, just to make their kids stay and do what they want to do. God is basically the same way.
The Second Amendment, like all other rights, is not absolute.
difficult for her to lose sight of the fact that she wasn't there bonding with Dylan the way I was. And I think that was a huge problem for her.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a...
Anything.
Everything.
Anything.